everybody. Hello,
Hi.
hello, hello. Hello, hello. It is episode number 19 with Mr. Lunsar today. Hi, Lunsar. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great, Mr. Stone.
As usual, it is myself, Stone, Hatena, and Hyun over here. He's we just
Out of it.
and we just need the chat to keep their voice down a little bit because he's a little tuckered out. He's a little tuckered out. So just we'll keep the energy level low. I'll try not to scream too much. But yeah, today's episode number 19, and it's Young Animators today. We have a young animator representative, Lunsar, joining us.
Yep, that's me.
Yes. We don't have any announcements this week. Actually, what I do have written down for announcements is never mind. So that's the announcement. That's the announcements for this week. Yeah, that is word for word what the announcements are this week. So, but wait, wait, Hatena, you sound good, right? Is your levels good?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
There we go. Okay.
Sorry,
yeah,
I was definitely not muted.
Run it back.
Run it back. All right. Okay, no, we're good.
No.
But I wanted to talk about something before we get started into our topics with Lunsar. Have you guys ever had or seen those buttons that they have for dogs?
Yes, I actually have.
Okay. So I have a dog that I got like about a year ago, and we took him through training and everything, and he's pretty well trained. But I'd never really thought like those buttons were anything obtainable for like a normal dog relation. I thought like you literally had to be like a dog trainer to get your dogs to like use those dog buttons. Okay, well, for those who don't know, there's like little buttons that you can program that you can say something into, and then your dog can like step on them to communicate with you, right? And there's people who have them like super intricate that are like, I love to go to the, like they can do full sentences, right? So I'm like, whatever, this is not, but we got 4 of them. So I was like, all right, well, I'll try them on like the 4 major things that my dog does, which is like, I want water, food, to go potty, or have a treat. So I just said those 4 things on 4 buttons. I showed him how they worked. Didn't think anything of it. Now, all week, he has been bullying me around. Like he with gusto, too. He doesn't like walk up to him and like look and be like, okay, which one was which again? Straight up, he's like, all right, I need to potty. He just walks up, he smashes it, and he looks at me, and he's like, all right. And he like goes and waits by the door. He already knows. He already actively is using the buttons all the time, not just randomly, accurately. Even to the point where I think he gets frustrated. He only has 4 buttons, and I think he's tried to communicate to me like that. I think earlier when he kept hitting food, I think he was saying that I was eating food, but the only way he can communicate that is there's a food button, and he would be like food, and then he would sit with me and food. I'm like, you have food. So your dogs can communicate. You just have to give them English buttons.
Yeah, we got one as well. My girlfriend really wanted to get one for our Chihuahua.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought them for her as a gift, and then she opened them once, configured one of them to say little shit, and then we've never used it again.
Dude, that's okay. My wife wanted to program some of them to say things that I'm like, they have to have a direct command. Like, I have to reiterate to the dog of what the button means, right? So, like, if he hits food, he should get food. If he hits potty, he should go potty. She was like, oh, what was it? She was just like, I don't know. It was like happy or something. And I'm like, we can't teach him happy off a button because I'll never know what the button's supposed to mean or something because it's not communicating. Like, there's no direct like action I can take after that or something, you know? But I love that. It is very funny though.
Yeah, very.
I've never had any of those buttons, but I've always seen those online. They always seem really funny.
I want those for babies, for humans now. I think we should start kids like 1 year, like 6 months old, and give them
Give them a head start.
Feed me, little shit, feed me. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share this week because I thought the dog button thing was just not a reality anyone could have other than dog trainers. But yeah, now I'm looking to get more buttons because he's just like starving to communicate.
That's awesome.
But
that's
yeah.
so cool.
Anywho, we'll get to our first topics of today, and of course, they're going to be centered around our guest Lunsar. And so, Lunsar, tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you get started?
All right. So I would say I got started like, I first started using Flash back in like 2016, 2017 around that area. But
Oh, okay.
I never really got into like the grind actually. Like I'd say the grind officially started back at like 4 years ago, 2020. But like yeah, these animations were made back in like 2018, 2019. These are like my first ever like animations. Some of my first ever animations I ever made. I wish I can go because there are ones that I have that were older, but these are like the run cycle.
These are actually pretty wildly impressive for first animations.
Yeah, I
Like,
was
like, straight up.
Yeah, no. These were like I'd say like in like the first 10, 20 animations I ever made. Like, and I made these all with a mouse, mind you.
Oh,
but
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
I normally tell people I've been animating since 2020 because that's when I started taking it like a little seriously because of COVID and everything. I figured I had all that free time, might as well pick it up.
Right. Right.
And I also, funny thing, I always thought like I was too like young to animate, and that's why I was so bad. That's why I attributed it being like so bad, because I was never happy with whatever I made back when I first started. So and like when I first started back in like 2016, I was like 9. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, you were too young.
I had no idea what I was doing. I will say though, that I am kind of happy that I did at least have that prior knowledge, like with Flash, because by the time I got started back up in 2020 and I had like a bit of experience with the program, I felt like I was able to gradually or just get like a kind of a head start in terms
It
of
felt
like
a little more comfortable. You weren't like
Yeah.
completely overwhelmed by it. at
yeah,
least.
like even with these animations, like playing on like playing right now, they like show like a little bit of easing, a little bit of like some
do.
principles.
Yeah, I
They
will
do.
At least
say,
in my
like,
opinion.
I am the thing that surprised me the most when I started to get to know you around like the Stuntman days is how quickly you improved. Like you got such a phenomenal understanding of like some of the major principles of animation so quickly, so young as well. It's really impressive.
Yeah, your neuron pathways were still being developed, so you had that advantage.
Honestly, I was still developing a conscious,
Because I started when I was like 10, but like I was shit until like I was already animating for like 5 years. Then I started to actually get somewhat good.
Yeah, and it all just started with just copying a bunch of stuff I'd see on like the Dojo and everything, But that's pretty much how I got started, at least.
So I gotta ask you because I'm not even sure if I'm saying your name right. Is it Lunsar or Lunsar?
I mean, honestly, it depends on who you ask.
I
don't it's Lunsar.
Yeah, some people say Lunsar. I've had people say Lunsar, but a lot more people I know say Lunsar.
Okay, so where did your name come from, and how did you come up with it?
So back and I'll touch on this more later. I used to be a part of the Geometry Dash community. But there were these two people in the community named Lunar and Sumsar, and I kind of combined those two names,
That's awesome.
And I'm like, that's my name, like I'll just take that, and yeah, the rest is just history.
Okay, I mean that's cool. Like it's funny how everyone has kind of a path on how they get their names. Sometimes it's not like anything insane. Like mine, I think I was wearing a Volcom Stone t-shirt.
Oh, really?
And I was literally like, I'm like, I need a name. And I was like, I'm like, well, I guess I could choose something simple because I made the website, right? Because I never get like, if back in Rock Hard Anims or Fluid Anims, you can never choose like a basic name because all like regular short names or words are taken for like major websites really quickly. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I made the website, so I can do whatever I want. I'm like, oh, I could actually have a name that's just like one small thing. It doesn't scale well into other websites that you don't know.
And another thing with like the name origins is like it's always different for everyone. Everyone always has like some unique way of how they got their name. Like I've never like really came across anyone that's like had like the same story of how.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's always unique. The other thing that I think you put this in here, like, so I wanted to know. Let's see a little bit more about your character. How did you create your character, your original character? I think we have some footage that we're gonna display.
Yeah. So so my character's name is Fed. 3 letters, F-E-D, Fed. Yeah, no, this is like the reason why I put this up here is this is the first ever like concept animation I made. This was made back in like 2018. I'd say I was like 11. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I was 11 years old when I animated this. And I originally had the idea. Just I don't know. I always wanted to have like a character, and I was just thinking like like what's something that hasn't really been done before, or something that'll make me stand out a little bit. And then I was like, oh, maybe if I give him like a little hat. And that was pretty much as far as it went at the time. But eventually I evolved it, and now now he has like little blades at the tips, and it's like kind of a metal. It acts like a sword in some cases. Like right here.
So this animation, based on how fast you're improving, this is 15 minutes after the first one, or like this is years later?
yes, actually, I animated that the day after.
Bros in like time travel.
Later that afternoon is like this.
That fateful day.
Fateful day. Oh man, what's like your
but
favorite?
The name.
Oh no, you just.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was fine. The name Fed, it came from just fedora. Like that's pretty much how I got that. But it eventually turned into more of like a top hat. A lot of people drew it as that, and I kind of like that better. But
so he's okay.
Yeah.
So what does this hat do for him?
So now, like it's a weapon, and more recently, I think I'll probably go more in depth with it in like more solo animations. He can kind of use his hat as like a little like magic top hat, like like the magicians, how they use like they do like magic tricks so they can like pull stuff out. I'm kind of, the concept with that is like I kind of want to have him like manipulate his body in that hat, kind of use it as like a teleportation thing. I feel like that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I like that.
I'll probably delve more into that in the future, but oh god.
Every time I pull this animation up with him,
oh god,
I hate this animation.
Everyone has one they hate.
Hey man, everyone's got. What's your cutoff here though? Because like every animator's got a cutoff here whenever they start.
Oh yeah, when they're proud of their work, I'd say my cutoff is like late 2021. That's where I can actually look back at a lot of my stuff and be happy with it.
Damn. I mean, that's like really soon after you like start to take it seriously, though.
Yeah,
for me, it took me like 10 years for me to get my cutoff date.
I haven't got it at all. I've never reached that
really?
point. I have small pockets. Yeah, I have small pockets where I'm like, I like that. Other than that, I don't get it.
Wow.
I feel like I'm still just barely scraping the bottom of the barrel of understanding what I'm doing at all.
That's crazy. Because like to me, you're so good at animation.
Yeah, literally.
I honestly don't get it.
We had a call, like, well, at least like for choreography, you have a really good understanding of like making a conversation out of a fight sequence, which a lot of people don't really do that in this community. But I remember we were in a call, and then you asked me like, hey, what do you think they should do next? And you explained to me like, oh, this person does this, and then the other person learns that they're doing this, so they learn how to defend and then combat that, and then they learn how to use that to their advantage, and the other person learns that they should try something different. And I'd never really thought of that before.
Really?
Anyway,
I genuinely like. Again, like for me, there's only just small pockets. Like that might have been one of the pockets where I was like, yeah, I actually like this. But like other than that, I don't think I've reached a moment where I can say everything from like behind this animation forward, I'm happy with or really like. But yeah, but I mean, it's got to be a great thing to have, because that confidence is got to be at least in part why you probably improve so much. Because if you have that confidence that you're like, I like what I'm doing, and you're moving forward, that probably helps build you over time.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I felt like even recently when I started getting even more confident, because I feel like I've like been animating slightly confidently in the past, but like as of recently, I feel like I've gained like a whole nother level of confidence where I feel like I can just animate whatever now, and I can just be happy with it.
That's the best point to get to
exactly
as an animator. I remember when I got to that point, and I was like, the whole world has been unlocked.
Like it feels like you could just like do whatever.
Yeah, it's awesome. And
you're free.
You have like dance animations too. Like
oh yeah,
pull up one of them.
Yeah, that's the ideal confidence place to be.
You're like straight ahead as well on all these.
Oh yeah, no, this is entirely straight ahead.
Oh wow!
So like that's really like straight ahead with dance movements like this. Like that is insane.
Yeah,
that's.
I had a lot of fun working on this. I like doing like character acting. I feel like that's another thing, is that character acting type animations are always like my favorite. I might even prefer to do those more than like fight animations.
Oh wow.
But you know, I still like doing fight animations either or.
Sorry. I really
This,
So good.
this is so fun. Backstory behind this is me and a couple of friends, Blue, Anims, and Gamer Studios. We played this game a couple years ago, Evade, on Roblox. And it was just like we always just messed around with this one emote, the California
Is
Girls
that the
emote. Yeah,
Is this the emote?
yeah. We just like especially do it
that.
in sync too. This was really fun. This is really fun to make.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta ask. This is one of the questions now that has become a little infamous because it seems like over time and talking to people, we've found that a lot of what got animators into animating comes to one animation. So do you have one animation or a particular animation that got you the most intrigued about stick figure animation and wanting to start?
Yeah, I have a few. So like I'd say like the first one is like obstacle course, like the obstacle course collab. That's like the first ever like video I've actually seen on the Dojo. Like obstacle course collab too. Yeah, this is literally the first ever thing I've seen like, on the Dojo.
Wow, that's
And
still like
I
almost
was
10 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, I saw this. I was like, it was like 2016, I think. Like that's when it was like not too long after it came out, and I thought this was so cool. I was like, I don't know, something about it just like really appealed to me. I'm like just like all these people, like I wanted to do it. So I was like, right after I saw some like, how to stick figures, how to do stick figures, how to animate, and just trying to search up like how like animation app. On YouTube.
Yeah.
In order to just try and start, because I always wanted to do it. Once I saw this, and then another animation that like I initially saw was "Defend the Diamond" by Shuriken. That's what got me into like the the fight aspect. Of course, it was like the older version, but you know, this is like what introduced. Yeah, this was what introduced me to like the fighting aspect, and like the overall, and of course sync. That's another thing. Yeah, I saw this around the same time as well, and that's how I found out about Shuriken. And of course I went through his whole collabs, like all of his stuff, you know, Imitator, all the classics, Deadly Runners, and I'm like, this is so cool. Like all these people like are just making these awesome animations. I'm like, I really want to do that, especially Sync. And then what really got me, like, I guess the final thing, like the final like thing that really got me wanting to do like animations, like synced animations or whatever, was Aerial Masters by yours truly. Right here. I saw this. I'm like,
Ooh.
I saw this, and once I saw Hatena's part, I'm like, wait, Shuriken's not the only person that does sync. There's more than one person. Like, I could do this too. So,
That's a rare perspective to hear from
Yes.
that era. Because usually it's like, oh, he's ripping off Shuriken.
Yeah. This is like a Shuriken 2.0. Cool.
Exactly. I thought it was really cool. I'm like, wait, Shuriken isn't the only one that does sync. This is awesome. Because this really shattered my whole perception on this. I'm like, this is awesome. I really want to do this, you know.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
yeah, that was my start.
I think this is one of my only like old collabs that still holds up. I can go back and
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
this and still genuinely enjoy it.
Oh, 100%. I would go back to this for like the nostalgia.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Like I never liked. I never felt good animating like weightlessness. Like I liked the freedom of you can kind of like do anything and just swim around. But I don't know what it was. I feel like when I'm animating weightlessness, like fighting is like how I fight in my dreams. Like I feel like none of the punches can hurt, none of the kicks can hurt because it's like there's nothing to stand on to like add that strength into it.
Yeah.
Whenever I see it or think about animating it, I don't know. It's just like I feel like I'm trying to beat someone up in my dreams.
It's a difficult environment. Yeah.
Weird line.
It is weird, but like this collab concept was like, I was surprised no one had done it before because I pretty much did Deadly Runners, which was just running and fighting to the music, but now it was vertical.
Falling and fighting.
Yeah, falling and fighting. But I found it pretty fun. It's fun to kind of defy physics a bit, and it's challenging to have that ground that everyone's used to.
Exactly. I need that black 10 pxy thick line to stand on, or else I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love falling.
So these are some of the first things. These are some of the first things you saw on Hyun's Dojo. Were you part of any other online community before, like, coming into animation?
Yeah, kind of. I was part of, like, mainly video game communities. I was part of a lot, though. But the three main ones that stuck out, so the first one was, like, Geometry Dash. That was like, the one I was slightly, like, into, you know? I didn't really I didn't really participate, like, or talk to a lot of the people in the community. I mean, of course, like, I joined, like, Discord servers and whatever, of, like, people with the community. I'd talk to some people. But I've literally been playing this game since, like, 2015, honestly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've just, like, you know, had a long experience with this game. Me and this game go way back. But yeah, that's pretty much the first community that comes to mind. I'd say the second one has to be, like, Minecraft with Hypixel, specifically Bed Wars, you know. This one I joined the community back in, like, 2019. Yeah, like, summer of that year. I remember, yeah. I always wanted to, like, I got into it because of Technoblade. And I saw a bunch of his win streak videos, and I'm like, this looks kind of fun. Because at first, funny thing, I thought, like, this genre of Minecraft was so annoying. I thought it was, like, so frustrating. And it still is, in my opinion. I think it's super frustrating. But I never, like, even decided to try it because of how annoying it looked. I remember I always just thought, like, you know, I'm just gonna be bad at this and just, you know, move on. But going to this level, I was kind of interested, so I decided to just pick it up. I was pretty bad at it, of course, as I first started, but then I started watching more content creators. I started learning some of the tech and everything, and, like, getting really good at the game. Really sweaty. A lot of hours were put on this game, especially during quarantine. But yeah, I still play here and there to this day.
It's funny because, like, it's like, you know, Minecraft definitely isn't famed for its PvP aspect.
Oh, yeah.
So you're just saying, like, oh yeah, it's like it's Minecraft, but, like, you do only PvP. You're like, you mean so you just, like, left click? Yeah, but, like, there's more to it. But, like, you can't describe it in a way that anyone else who doesn't know exactly what you're talking about is gonna be like, yeah, oh yeah, I get that. Because, like, you see, oh, I play Fortnite. You're like, oh yeah. Immediately their brain knows what Fortnite is. We're like, no, I do PvP only Minecraft.
Exactly.
Like, I don't really. I'm building a house or anything. No, we just PvP.
That's why I don't really.
It's kind of mesmerizing though. Like,
it
is. Like just even this gameplay. I've seen you play it, Lunsar, sometimes. It's just, I can just start watching and then get completely distracted. Like, I'll be working and then you'll be screen sharing. I'll be watching and then I'll forget that I'm working.
It's funny because it just looks like you're bullying, like, your little cousin or something. It's just like the only time PvP was ever used is when you're like you're like a little kid, you're playing with, you're like, ah, and they're trying to hit you, and you're like, I want to build.
Oh, 100%. Like, the types of people you see in these games are either, like, people who just downloaded the game, like, yesterday, and, like, people who've been playing for, like, 10 years. Like,
exactly.
But you meet some pretty interesting people there. I've met a lot of good friends there.
That's cool. Do they find it weird that you animate, or do, like, did it ever come up and you're like, oh, I made this thing, like, what the heck? Because, like, that's another jump for most people from other communities, is, like, when you make something, put it out there, especially if they're like, whoa, this is really good. Like, it's hard for people to process that you've done something like that. Do you have any crossovers like that where you're kind of, like, introducing them to Hyun's Dojo?
Yeah, I kind of have some. Like, some of them, like, you know, I tell them, like, oh, you know, I animate sometimes. Or they're like, oh, cool, you animate? Like, what's your channel? I'm like, oh, you know, just, like, Lunsar, you know. And then they check it out, and they're like, wow, this is really cool. But it's never really, like, super... I don't think I've really had any, like, experiences where someone was like, whoa! You know, like, or just completely, taken aback. Like, but it's just mostly just, like, chill, laid back. But yeah, that's it for the Bed Wars community. The last community that really comes to mind is probably, like, Roblox. More specifically, this group on Roblox called, like, the Innovation Security. So not a lot of people I really talk to in the dojo know about this, but I used to be a part of this, like, group on Roblox where, you know, we'd have, like, trainings and everything. It was kind of like a security group for this like science lab.
Wow.
I was like really into this. I remember I was like 10. And so I liked
young
I
internet
just
access.
liked, exactly, you know. I just really like I thought this was really fun, but it was also just like my first ever realization of like this is like an actual community, because I actually like met a lot of people in this group that I still talk to today. Like some people like that I met like 7 years ago, you know. I remember I'd say this group is also like the main reason why I even started like using Discord like a lot, because some of my friends, like one of my friends, he invited me to this Discord server where we do like game nights every Friday, and that in itself was really fun. So even when we stopped like participating in these events, like in the security group, we still stuck around together as like one big friend group, and we were like 20 like people, just all coming together to like play video games, and it was I think it was really fun. And to this day, like, you know, I'd say like we still talk to each other pretty like fairly often, you know. It's kind of crazy though, because we were all around the same age, like we were all 10, 11, and we haven't really gotten the chance to talk as much recently, because it's just crazy to say, but they're in college, and I remember when we were all in just like elementary school. So
wow,
that is weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
What's weirder is like my kid is 10 and he's playing Roblox now.
Oh my god.
I think it's a different perspective further than the college.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. My little cousin, he's 5 years old. I remember when he was like just born, and he's playing Roblox.
Yeah, I think kids get cell phones in the womb now. Like kids just come out.
They just come out with an iPad in their hand.
Yeah, they're like, yep. Yeah, they're just already doing their taxes coming out of the womb. But so I don't like. It's funny to me because like I have him playing Roblox and he has very limited internet access and he doesn't use the chat. But like it makes me question, because like now you've built these relationships with these people that you met then, like that is now not, you know, it's lifelong in the sense that you've known them since then, right? And you're connecting with some of them. And I'm thinking, do I let him have the chat? Because like I think that's a really valuable thing. That community is a really valuable thing. And I've just thought, you know, the internet's terrible and I can't moderate, you know, Roblox, so I guess I'll just like leave it to where he just has a kind of single player experience because he can't communicate with people. But I don't know.
I respect that. You know, it's like hard to balance, especially with a kid that age. Like what you should show, like what he should see and what you should shield him from.
Yeah, it's different because I know more. About what the internet's like. When my parents were, you know, moderating the internet, they weren't, because they didn't know what the internet did. They had no clue what any of it was at all. You know, like they're like, I guess I don't know. Like I had intimate knowledge about how all the good and bad that could come from it. So it's just different. But it is cool that like that's why I think communities and online communities are so important, because you got to remember is the internet connects everyone together in such a way that you can have the most hyper niche personality traits, and there's still going to be a group of people that certain activities will funnel them into these little pockets, and then you have a connection with people that you'll probably never have in your geological vicinity, because there's not going to be enough people with your very specific potential hyper niche things that you're into in a large quantity at any given moment. So the internet gives us that opportunity where we could be even having this discussion right now. You know, like if I right now 100-mile radius around wherever I'm sitting right now, and I was like, all right, I want to find stick figure animators, it's just going to be me, like more than likely just me. So
you're connected with everyone. Yeah,
exactly. So the internet is very powerful at bringing people together, and I think that's something that's why the community is really important, and why that's such a powerful thing, is because you have that strength that you can kind of build your life upon, and now, you know, build your interests around that too. So, you know, that's why I like always diving into where do people come from if you came from a community before here today.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So what is it like, you know, going back to animating, what is it like starting animation so early? Because now you're at a point where you're still very young, but you're already able to kind of produce work that not just you and your friends can look at and be like, oh, that's really cool, but like beyond that, other people can see this like, wow, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
So what's it like starting so early? Are you happy? You know, are you glad?
Yeah, I'm fairly happy that I started so early. You know, I feel like, you know, the sooner you start, the better, because like it's just, I don't know, like you gain more experience over time, So I'm glad to have been able to start at such an early age, where I was able to give myself that head start, because it's opened up some opportunities that I would never have thought like I would get, like working for Alan Becker and everything.
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
that. Yeah, that is something like
Yeah.
I would never in a million years. Like if you told my like 10-year-old self that, like when I was first finding out about the dojo, like that would be a possibility, I would like not even believe you. I would just be like, okay. It would just be one ear throughout the other. But yeah, I am pretty glad, because nowadays, I feel like just animation has just been an outlet for me to just express like whatever goofy things I want to do or whatever I just want.
For the rest of your life, you never get to be bored ever again.
Exactly.
Because whenever you're bored, you have this thing that you could that has like an infinite symbol amount of time that you can dedicate to it.
Yeah, and then it's just like it also has that like the career path. Like that, I'll always have that as a career path if I really wanted to. But I don't know if I will. I don't think so, but it's always there, and it's always there in the background in case I ever want to. It's like definitely like a backup for me. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun these past few years.
So you got. Oh no, sorry. You continue.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's just definitely been like the best, like the most fun I've ever had, like these past few years.
Hell yeah. So you discovered this community through what seems to be mostly collaborations, and since then you've participated in some. So what are some of the collabs you've been in, and some of the ones that you've even hosted?
So, some of the big ones, like I guess the first one that really comes to mind, the main one that I've really put a lot of effort into was the Stuntman series. That was A, one of the first, and B, like the most effort I've ever put into a collab series. Especially with Stuntman 3. I pumped out like 10 entries or 11 entries.
Made so many.
Because I don't know, I just thought it'd be kind of funny. It was also really fun. I felt like a lot of improvement, because like when you asked Satana for us to start making entries before you even like opened the collab, it was like a year, I think, in between. So I already had like 5 entries off the back.
Yeah,
so
you did kind of get an unfair head start. That is because when I was thinking of starting it, I wanted to make like a really good trailer, but in order to make a good trailer, like
you need
I might as well ask from friends for some entries early.
But
Yeah,
I feel like
a lot.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I really enjoyed the Stuntman series, in my opinion. I made I'd say some of my best works in it. And I've also gotten to, especially with Stuntman 1, just gotten to have like the core friend group,
Oh yeah.
in the community.
Because Stuntman 1 like brought
It
a
really brought us
shocking
all
number
together.
it brought so many people into the community. And then also like at least you and me, Lunsar, had our like that's where we built our core friend group online.
Exactly. Yeah. Literally during Stuntman 1, that's when we've like I feel like started like getting to know each other a lot more.
Oh yeah.
But for collabs hosted, I've hosted 2 collabs. They are the Freefall Collabs 1 and Freefall Collab 2. So, yeah. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but these collabs are pretty much just falling in the air. Animators get to do whatever they want. They can fight, they can crash into buildings, they can do pretty much whatever.
It's like Aerial Master without the fighting.
Exactly.
Oh, and they provide their own falling.
Oh yeah.
Like the falling isn't given to them via like clouds or whatever. They're just good. So like the pace changes. Yeah, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah, so pretty much you can make your own story in like your own parts. These collabs were hosted joint style, so it would be like one person finishes, the next person goes in the same file. In order to secure these accurate transitions. Like that was one of the big things about these collabs, just these transitions, if you notice.
Yeah, that actually makes this a lot more interesting compiling, because like putting it together would have taken a hell of a lot longer. Because when you have something like this with this many people, and you essentially no one can work on it simultaneously, that makes it a lot harder. Because all it takes is one person to be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be having the file," and then they don't do anything for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's
And then
something
you
I struggle
pass
with
it
a
to the
lot.
next person. Yeah, that's
Classic
Yeah.
hosting troubles.
interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's I wouldn't have
That-
guessed that.
I want
That
to
is something.
run that back real quick. One sec. You know I'm about to show. You
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hold on, I gotta find it.
So in this part,
There it
Hey, was there? I thought. Wait.
if you look very closely,
It's me. That's me. Yeah.
that is him.
So funny.
This is a
That's
little
great.
reference.
I love it.
But
So
yeah, I'd say Freefall 1 was definitely a huge learning experience when it came to like managing a team and hosting a collab. Because then by the time
Mhm.
Freefall 2 came, I felt like, okay, you know, I already had the experience. I know what I'm gonna do. So
right.
I had an idea laid out. Basically, how this was hosted, it was posted pretty much the same way. But an issue that I found with Freefall 1 is that since the entire collab was in one file and everyone was all using one file, it led to a lot of crashing and a lot of like,
Yeah.
a lot of lag.
Oh yeah.
Especially once
So-
Ace got his grubby
Oh
little
my God, don't even
hands
get me
on the
started.
file.
Do not
That part broke the file completely.
Literally, you cannot work on your part unless you hit Aisley's part because it would literally crash every single time. It was Aisley in shock. If you played their part in the file, it would crash.
That's so funny.
So to solve that, I decided to take the song for Freefall 2, split it up into, I believe it was 3 sections, 3 or 4,
There.
or
Yeah, I
5.
can see that.
and then just
Mhm.
host them individually in their own files. It's a bit, I will say, it is a bit harder to manage 3 files
A little
passing
more
around at once.
organizing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're hosting 3 mini collabs at once, like, and they varied with like 5 people in one, 6 people in another, 5
right.
people in
Right.
another, like 4
Mhm.
people, you know. So that in itself was a little hard to manage, but I just felt like, you know, that's like the best. I'd say that like that was like the best solution to that problem.
The overall speed of the project should improve. Like even
Mhm.
though the micromanaging it becomes more intricate, it's gonna get done way faster.
Yeah, and so I'd say that in itself like helped, like, I guess, quality of life when it came to animation. People had to stress less on crashing and stuff that they couldn't control. So
Yeah, if you're last,
yeah.
the file is gonna be a monster. Like
Oh,
you better
yeah.
make sure the people
100%.
with the best computers
Oh,
are at
yeah.
the end.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I had a lot of fun hosting these collabs, and from what I've heard, a lot of people say that they've had a lot of fun participating, so that makes me really happy to hear.
Oh yeah.
And
That's great.
and it doesn't end at Freefall 2 either. I am hosting a
Oh.
third one, actually.
Yeah,
That
he
is-
is.
It is nearing completion.
Oh,
This is I'd say my most ambitious project ever.
oh, can I comment?
Ooh.
You can comment. You can.
I've been watching the progress since it started, and I've made a couple entries. But like seeing everyone's I am the most hyped for this collab out of anything else going on, because like as soon as you started hosting it, people started submitting entries that were like the highest
so good.
quality. Yeah, they were the highest quality animation I had seen in the community, and they just kept doing it. Because then even I
Yeah.
felt the pressure to make mine like as good as possible.
Well, we had to stop. Like, you had to stop watching other people's parts before
Yeah.
you started animating because you'd feel too stressed out.
Yeah. I literally like forbid myself from watching any other entry until I finished mine.
Like, I remember I didn't start hosting it immediately. I made the server and I invited everyone. And like I told everyone, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm gonna be going on vacation, because I was like, this was back in like February, like this year. I was telling them, you know, I was gonna be going on vacation. I'm not gonna be on my computer, so I'm gonna start hosting when I get back. And it was so funny because while I was on vacation, I was just scrolling, like checking my phone every now and then, checking the server, see what everyone was saying, because I also opened up people to start choosing their spots. And already people were starting to work on their entries, and I'm like, whoa, because a lot of them were starting to be really good. I'm like, the collab hasn't even started.
Everyone was just so excited when you started it because Freefall 3 was so fun. Fall 2 was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am super excited because Freefall 3 is going to be at least it has 10 minutes worth of collab parts. There are 3 different songs. I think there's about 70 like parts in the entire collab. There's some custom music.
Crazy.
There's a slight story as well with it, and it's just very ambitious. There's like around like 50 people like participating, and let me just tell you, I thought hosting Freefall 2 was hard. Oh my gosh, it's
always a scaling issue.
Oh yeah, so originally like I was gonna have each part be like 4 seconds, because that's the thing. With Freefall 1, it was like each part was like about 2 seconds. Freefall 2, each part was about 4. I've been doubling it. So now Freefall 3, each part is like 8 seconds. So
wow.
I've had to manage splitting up the songs. Like I remember when I first started splitting up the songs, I was like, how the hell am I going to do this? Because I could either make each file be like a minute long,
right,
or like 2 minutes long, or have them be like 30 seconds each and have to manage like 20 files all at once. I'm like, I don't think I'll do that. So I just had to like, have the latter and just have each file be like a minute long with like 5 people in it, 6 people or something like that. Like there's around like 3 to 10 people per file, and there's 10 that I have to juggle around.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is a tough to keep track of, especially with deadlines and everything. Just trying to make sure everything's getting done. I will say, like, there has been some burnout with this project. It's not like I've told myself, because especially with school and everything, I do want to get back to this, and my aim is to get this out by the end of the year. So hopefully, maybe by December. No promises though. I don't know, because I got a lot of.
Collabs are really hard. Collabs are really hard in that, because there's so many. Because you're always touching territory that you may have only ever touched once or twice or never before, as far as like file size or number of layers, or like there's a lot of different other factors that make it to where you can't really say for certain when it's just going to be ready. And the best thing to do is release it when it is ready, and not like, okay, it's got to be on this date, and then whatever, I guess I have to cut all these parts, and I just, it has to be now. And then you end up with something that's just less than it could be because of it.
Yeah. That's something I don't want to do. So I'm like, I was aiming for the end of the year if possible. Of course, if I can't do it, then it's not happening.
Right.
But that's like, I don't want to spend, because it's just, I want to get this out soon, sometime soon at least.
Mm-hmm.
Just not
do you,
like too.
Do you know how long the runtime is roughly?
Roughly like the entire collab.
Yeah.
Probably like around 12-13 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's still like an insane length. Like
that
is.
Yeah. It's insane. It's an insane step up, especially from the second one that was only like 5 minutes. So I'm pretty much like multiplying that length by 2.5, pretty much. But yeah, it's also just been really fun to like host and just see everything come together. Like that's my favorite part about this entire collab, just seeing everything come together. Like I was in the server, where I just post completed files. So whenever like everyone in one file was done, I would get all the final touches, export the entire thing, and just post it in the server just for everyone to see. And that in itself like boosted motivation, just because everyone was seeing like what the final product's gonna look like.
Mm-hmm.
That could definitely get people going.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it was so fun just seeing that in the premiere file, especially like just seeing like all the transitions flow together, seeing one complete song. Because in reality, it literally is just like, like when you listen to a song and you picture like an animation with it, it's literally just that. Like that's what I was doing in my head for the longest time until I started hosting this, and now I just picture that.
Well, it's also unique. Hosting is a unique thing for an animator too, because like never in your lifetime will you have such progress and such a reward of a somewhat finished piece so quickly, because you're never gonna just sit down and like boom, you have a 12 minutes worth of animation within like 6 months or something. It's all like really high production, because like you're putting parts together and everyone's putting their own 5 or 10 hours, let's say, collectively at a time, and then all of a sudden now you have this thing that has 600 hours worth of effort in it, but you yourself might have only put 10 in compiling, and you have this huge result and your brain just wants to explode because you're getting so much more than you're used to. You're used to that 1-to-1 ratio of how much time you're spending, and then looking back at your own work, and then that's kind of your fuel to keep you moving forward. So now you're like hyper fueled, and that you can kind of spread that to everyone else when you're showcasing it in the middle of them working on it too. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how Freefall 3 is going. I'm hoping, actually, I kind of been wanting to make a trailer because I made a teaser, which is being played right now. I kind of want to make a trailer just showcasing just at least what's there to offer, get the community a little hype, you know, build some traction for the premiere, because I think that'll be really awesome. I'm excited to see. I'm super excited for the premiere. Honestly, I'm excited to see what everyone has to say about it. I think it'll be awesome.
Definitely excited.
Do you have any other collabs outside of this, or is this your main focus you're working on right now?
I was gonna ask that.
Oh, my bad.
My name is under that stone. I'm kidding.
Oh, I did it naturally. I didn't even look. I did it naturally.
I know you do that. It's okay. So yeah, what collabs do you have planned for the future?
Yes. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry. I mean, not a lot. Freefall has just been my main focus. I do want to host more collabs in the future that aren't Freefall. I do want to popularize more of the whole joint-based collabs, because I feel like you could do a lot with that. I feel like, in terms of like overall quality and overall like transitions and flow between animators, it gives you way more freedom. Because with template-based collabs where you just like submit a file and then it's compiled, I feel like it's limiting in the sense of how you can segue between one person's animation to another. So, yeah. But I've been seeing, like, recently, a couple collabs, such as, like, To Catch a Butterfly and Pass the Flag, hosted by some of my friends. They've been having some pretty, like, literally, like, match quality entries as Freefall, I'd say. Like, and it's been really fun to see that, too. So, yeah. I definitely want to popularize that a little bit more.
If you're taking that route of, like, the pass the file, you absolutely do have to take advantage of it, too. Because, like, there's the inherent downsides of hanging up so people have the file. You know, you don't have the overlap of people being able to work on it all at once. But I totally agree that, like, you can do so much more when everyone's kind of in on what's happening with where the file is at any given moment. It's just you have to take advantage of that. Otherwise, it's like you can take so much negative on without benefiting from that kind of opportunity that each individual has. So it's like it's really good early on to let people know this kind of what you're aiming for any given project, you know, whatever the theme is, but then also take advantage of that fact that everyone knows what's happening leading up to their part, because they can overall reshape the entire collab.
Yeah, that's just like 100%.
Yeah, I think it's really clever to split up even like a single track's worth of entry, like how you had Freefall 2 all in one single FLA. And being able to split them apart so you can have... You still... Yeah, what did I say?
You said Freefall 2.
Well, yeah, Freefall 2 is one single file,
Wait, Freefall 1 was one single file.
Oh, what about Freefall 2?
Freefall 2, that was different files with...
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry,
Freefall... I'm going to be like... I didn't mean
you're right. Please correct me. No, but yeah, so Freefall 1 was one big file, and that created an issue. And then Freefall 2, you split them up. But when I see how many files going on Freefall 3, like I think it's a lot to manage. Like that, the thing about hosting collaborations, they may not be a lot of work animation-wise. I mean, the host usually also animates an entry or two. But then on top of that, they're compiling everything, which on the surface seems very basic. Depending on the collab, it could be basic. But like even Stuntman, I was just lining up entries next to each other. You'd think that'd be pretty easy. That was like 6 months of post-production for that last
it's really not.
It's really not that easy.
There's a lot of behind the scenes that goes on when it comes to hosting collabs. That's something I realized hosting these. Like, especially especially juggling all 10 of those files all at once. Yeah. Because I remember I had like there are times where I'd have to keep track of 10 different deadlines for 10 different people.
Oh yeah, but like what you get out of that is much faster production time.
Yeah,
exactly. When you're doing a joint style, like if you weren't splitting up files like you are right now, you'd still maybe be in the first quarter of production for Freefall.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would not even be close to being done.
Yeah, it's still basically one person's working power at any given moment. You know, like versus if you have it stitched together, it's 70 people working at the exact same moment. and you have 70 people that could be finishing their entire part all at once versus 1 or 3 people working at any given moment. But in a perfect world, it should just be copy, paste, Control S, and you shouldn't even have to look at it until it's done. It's just never like that, not even remotely close. When you're putting together a collab, there's so many, like, part to part, like you're talking about how there was 2 parts that literally would crash the file.
Yeah.
Every single part you add can bring its own issues to it. I remember a lot of the times when I was putting a collab together, it was kind of like I would Control C, Control V, and then wait, and just like cross my fingers, put my hands up, and be like, all right, what's going to happen? Is it gonna be a crash? Is it gonna be conflicting file names? What? And then every once in a while, it was almost scarier if it just loaded and nothing happened. I'm like, no way. Now I have to figure out what's going to be the problem, because there's no way it was that easy. And it feels nice when it does work out like that. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into compiling a collab that isn't just,
and
yeah, stacking, I feel like layers of a sandwich.
Yeah, I feel like that's just to be expected as a collab host. I really try and focus on giving, like, I wanted to just focus on the participants, like their only priority would just be to make a part. I didn't want them to have to deal with anything else other than that. So I just pretty much focused a majority, like, of the workload on myself, instead of giving the participants, like, the burden of, like, having to do anything extra other than making a part.
Yes, that's exactly
would
it.
you agree?
They don't. I've been in a few collabs where they give the participants way too much responsibility, and then they almost always fail to complete. Because as the collab host, you should be carrying 90% of the load. And then the animator is there to just animate a part. They don't want to do anything else. They want to have fun and animate. That's all they're there for. But so many people don't understand that when they start a collab, and that's why most fail. Yeah.
Preach.
Yep. Yep, it's 100% right.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of your stuff here being posted on YouTube. Do you post at, like, other places? Like, how does posting your work at different places, if you do different places, like, fuel you to want to produce more?
So there's the obvious, like, fan base part of it. I feel like that in itself, like, that's what fuels me the most when it comes to posting my work on, like, Twitter, YouTube, Blue Sky, those platforms such as that. Because I always love the support, seeing people, like, going out of their way, commenting nice things, saying, like, just complimenting me, any sort of like words of appreciation, and like any sort of support, like likes, subscribers. I appreciate it all. It helps. It motivates me, honestly, to see all this, like, support. It wants me to keep going because I have an audience and I have people that want to see my stuff. But that's pretty much the main reason, like, why I post my stuff online like this, is because just having, like, people always be there.
Sorry, this stupid ass run, dude.
This
was everywhere.
Stickly run cycle fanbase, rise up.
It needs to be everywhere. So important.
But yeah.
Do you use, like, different places for different things? Like, obviously we're seeing on YouTube, we're seeing mostly, like, larger completed things. Do you like to just post, like, shorts and stuff on things like Twitter or, Blue Sky, or do you feel like, do you use them for different things? Like, do you post on Twitter because you just want, like, a little bit to keep you going on larger projects? Did you put out little shorts and stuff?
Honestly, I actually haven't thought of it like that. I might just do that. But yeah, I do a lot of, like, any short little meme animation clips, like anything that really isn't polished, or just, like, shit posts or anything like that. I post on Twitter. Those always get good reception there. But then on YouTube, like, finished, like, animations, like, finished like fight animations or collab parts, I post on there mainly. I post on Twitter too, but YouTube is where more of the bulk length animations, because I feel like Twitter is mainly a short form content type of site. Yeah, a lot of that stuff kind of thrives on there. But yeah, that's pretty much as far as I'd go when it comes to, like, scattering my content on different platforms.
So is there a place where, like, you talk about building a fan base, is there a place where, like, a platform you wish to be doing better on versus another, like in the sense of, like, let's look at it like if Twitter is just kind of like this thing you just throw whatever at, you're like, it doesn't matter what happens there. But YouTube is where you want to like be big, because that could be where you build like your biggest audience, your biggest thing. Is it kind of like that, like a funnel?
Yeah, honestly, exactly like that. I'd like to grow on YouTube way more. Honestly, I feel like that's where I'd probably focus more of my audience. I'd want to. I just like, and I mean this in like the humble way possible. I'd like to have that popularity. Like,
right.
I like, I don't mean to be like, like, give me followers, subscribers, but I feel like, yeah, I feel like having a fan base like that is always something I look forward to, and it just seems like the most fun. I always like the content creators that have like fan bases where they're always able to joke around with them, just be like, just say like funny stuff and just get a funny reaction.
The community is much stronger on a platform like YouTube, or on Twitter. It's much more. It's much more passive experience, because inherently that timeline is a lot more jumbled of a whole bunch of different things. Could be politics, could be memes, could be animations, depending on who you follow and what you like. But YouTube, like, you choose directly what you watch. Yeah, you subscribe to the people that you want to watch. So
yeah, the algorithm on YouTube is definitely, I'd say, way more different than Twitter, because Twitter you see like everything, and YouTube you see more of stuff that curates to stuff that you like. At least in my opinion, that's what I've experienced.
Well, one thing I would like to know, since you've now shown us like from your very beginnings to some of the collabs that you've done, whether you were in them or hosted them, do you have something that you've done yourself that is like your favorite thing you've animated or worked on so far?
So normally I'd just say like, Freefall, like 2 and 3, with 2 and 1 and 3. Those are normally like my go-tos when it comes to like big projects like those. But I'd say like favorite solo animation was probably my Xiao Xiao 3 remaster. I know you guys have seen that.
Yeah, we featured this on one of the first episodes.
I was. I
don't remember what episode it was, but
I was like fanboying low key when my animation came out. I literally I was in a voice chat and I deafened immediately just to listen to the stream, see what you guys had to say.
Yeah,
everyone shut up!
So cool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, everyone pipe down. I'm
on TV. Shut up!
I knew that would happen immediately, because I like, of course I've known you for a while, so I knew you when you released this, and I was like, okay, I have to show this on the podcast, but I didn't want to tell you. I wanted it to be a surprise. So as soon as that live stream ended, I joined the voice chat that you were in. I was like, yeah,
I was like tweaking. I was literally like, so like, I don't know. It was just so crazy, because like this animation itself. I mean, of course, I know Hyun like explained it a little on that stream. I spent so long, like every day working on this. It took like
grinding.
Yeah, it took like 8 days. Yeah, I remember it took like 8 days, and I like the sessions that it took for me to animate this. It was like, it went from like 8 hours to 14 hours on some days.
Yeah, that makes sense, because 8 days is crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and like sometimes it would be like, I'd animate like 6 hours a day. I think the longest I went was like 12 or 13 hours, something like that. And on top of that, I was also balancing work, because I was working at the time I was working as like a camp counselor, at a summer camp. So I was already pretty tired. I was doing a bunch of physical activity, playing sports and everything like that. So I would try and juggle this as best as I could. But on weekends when I didn't have work, I would just focus on this nonstop. Like I would just be in a voice chat, just working. Like this is literally like the best like flow state I've actually ever gotten.
Oh yeah,
because I would
every day, man. You were screen sharing and just hyper focused like crazy. It was impressive.
I would knock out like 10, 20 seconds in like in those time frames, like 12 hours, 10, 8. and this is another thing about this, is that choreography, like fight choreography itself, is something I've struggled with for a while. I'd say only recently I feel like I've really gotten comfortable with my like fighting style, my fighting choreography. But before, like when I first started, I always struggled with it. I never really understood how to do proper pacing and proper flow.
Fun here.
Yeah.
Is this straightforward? Is this all straightforward for the most part?
Yeah.
So I find that there is a lot of value in storyboarding things ahead of time, but there is a large sense of magic that can occur when you're animating straightforward, because you're so, especially when you're working in large blocks like that, and that's kind of how I work, is that you're so in tune with everything of what's happening in the animation that you can make all these little tiny detailed decisions that when you're playing it back end up just looking magical, because it's like if you were trying to think about all these things all at once, let's say you're sitting in a storyboard session, you're going to storyboard out the next 30 seconds, and maybe you spend like 45 minutes storyboarding, and yeah, you get like the bulk ideas down, but it's some of like the hyper detailed things that you can only know, or I feel like I can only know when I'm really like digging deep and I'm really in the moment. Because when there's 7 stick figures on the screen and I'm mid-air flipping, and you're thinking frame by frame by frame, okay, I gotta move these guys forward, what is the coolest thing I can do in this moment? And I think it's when you are stuck with those problems, I see them like answering questions or problems when I'm animating, and when you have those problems, the most creative way to solve it, being tuned in like that, creates the biggest opportunity to create the coolest possible interactions. And I think that's what shows in this, and I think that might be part of why you feel like it's one of your favorite things, is it is a nonstop stream of kind of that magic happening.
Yeah, like I feel like I thrive. Like I can do honestly either pose to pose or straight ahead. I feel like I've gotten way better at pose to pose, honestly, ever since I started working for Alan Becker, because that's pretty much a big majority of the pipeline. But straight ahead is definitely my go-to when it comes to just like animating just whatever. Because I feel like I have a lot more freedom. Like I remember I'd have like a specific idea for the remaster where I'm like, okay, let me try this, and then I would just like, my mind would just be thinking of how that would like, I guess, plan out in my head, and I'd just try my best to execute it as best as I could, and then tweak anything that like kind of just didn't work or whatever. But there was like barely any like redoing, which was surprising. Because
that's huge.
Yeah, normally when I do fight animations like that, I always struggle with the process of just redoing. I'm like, oh, this looks terrible, you know, like, and then just like either just restarting or just giving up for now. For then,
yeah, because you can box yourself you can easily box yourself into a corner like that. You know, or you're like everything's feeling good, and the one thing I've learned is like you should never accept feeling uncomfortable with where you're at in the animation, because that's when the animation dies. Like you should never be okay with like, yeah, I really just don't like this, and you just keep animating past it anyways, because then you start to feel weird. You need to chop that fat off and go back and keep the thread of like, I'm happy with everything up to this point. And
exactly,
you have to keep that going.
Yeah, and then like when you post something that you obviously don't like, it's, in my opinion, it's kind of embarrassing. Like you just don't like looking at it. It just feels like, exactly. I don't know. I just like, I hate it. So, but I feel like, yeah, ever since recently, like especially, I feel like this animation was the climax of that, of me being like, I can actually do this for now. So, I like, you know, I'm very happy with it. It's also funny, like, this is just completely like off topic from the topic we just talked about, but this animation kind of started as like a short. It wasn't originally intended to be like a full-length animation. I think I was going to aim for like 15, 20 seconds. Because beforehand, I'd be doing like just regular choreography practices. I did a pickaxe animation or whatever. So, yeah, that was... and this was like completely on like a spur of the moment. Like, I didn't even have this intro.
Yeah, you waited to go back after the fact.
Yeah, I had to go back after I animated like over a minute. I'm like, I should probably like really hold up to the like original aspect of this animation.
That is a very straightforward animation style symptom. It's like I used to do the same thing where I would be animating straightforward. It'd just be like the short little thing, and then all of a sudden it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The ideas get more grandiose, and I keep going and going and going, and all of a sudden it's like a couple minutes long. And now I'm like, oh, I guess now I know what the title is. And like all these other things start flooding in because we spent so much time on it. And initially it's just like this short little thing you're supposed to be doing. But again, I think it's really cool because it's just raw creativity just flowing out, and you're just grabbing it as it comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just going with the flow.
That's exactly how it was. Just literally just going with the flow.
So earlier you said that you were juggling working as a camp counselor and like grinding on this animation. How did you like delegate your time? Was it just whenever you were available you were working on this? Like were you in a situation where you tried to work on this while you were at work, or like how'd that
work? Yeah, so basically, I mean, this was only time specific to like that summer, because I released this back in like July, and that's normally when the camp happens, is over the summer. But the way that it would go, you know, I'd work like, I think it was like 11 to 6 or 11 to 5. That was my shift. And then I would come home. I'd just work on it for like, pretty much work on it until I went to bed. And I'd go to bed actually. Because I'd wake up at like 9. I'd give myself like a few hours to like brush my teeth, get ready.
Brush your teeth?
No, I spent 2 hours in the bathroom brushing my teeth.
It's crazy. Your gums are gone.
Bleeding a little bit, but we're fine.
Like getting all the bacteria off, all the food off, and
exactly. I wanted to get those pearly whites. But yeah, I give myself that time to at least just get ready for the day. So then by the time I'm done with work, I'd get home, take a shower, just relax, change, and then I just get to animating. That was pretty much my whole process with this project in specific. But it's different because I actually go to school for the rest of the year, and segueing into that, the way I juggle it. Because, I go to school like regular, like, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I normally just, it's pretty much how I just tackle like any other thing, like any other hobby that I do. Like for playing video games, I play video games for a little bit, I watch YouTube, I animate. That's normally my cycle of stuff that I like to do when I get home. And I normally do each for like a few hours, depending on what I'm feeling that day. Sometimes if I'm feeling like I want to animate a lot, I'll animate more that day. If I want to play more video games, I'll do that. If I want to watch just YouTube, if I don't really feel like doing anything, I'll just watch YouTube. But yeah, and most of the times, like I used to be super like do schoolwork first and then animate, but for me it's just kind of reverted to the opposite, where it's like I can't wait. I can't just do that anymore. I don't know, like I just kind of like reverted to just animating first, schoolwork later. And normally that later would be like in my bedroom at like past 10 p.m. Not the best. I won't recommend that to anyone who's in school right now, because what that does is it leads to like a bunch of procrastination. And that's kind of what that's a phase I've been struggling with for a while, and I still do struggle with it now. But I definitely don't recommend it, because it leads to a lot of sleep loss. Some nights I'd be going to bed at like 2-3 a.m. and waking up at 6 a.m. so I'd get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and I'd just be sleeping in school sometimes. But yeah, definitely don't recommend that for anyone whoever is like planning on, Lunsar says that, I think I'm gonna do exactly that. Definitely don't. But I guess it kind of works for me. So, at the cost of maybe my sleep, but it's okay. I'll take a few hours off my sleep just to work a little more, have a little more fun.
Yeah, I feel like
there
that's...
there is a thing for that.
No, it's my turn.
Go. You go.
I think that's an unfortunate thing about artists and animators that I've noticed is their sleep schedules, especially, just get so broken. Even when they're in school, like I mean myself, like I work full time for Mr. Becky the Becker.
I know that guy.
But like my sleep schedule, especially lately, has been terrible. Partially due to insomnia, but I know a lot of artists still struggle to find a good sleep schedule. Stone, how about you? Do you have experience with like a messed up sleep schedule in your animation
I'm the late game.
Endeavors?
I'm already the late game of you going down that path. You're gonna have sleep apnea.
Oh boy.
Insomnia is gonna also probably part of that. There is a term for this. It's called sleep revenge. That's a real thing. You could look it up. And basically what it is that you feel as though the core of why you're doing that is you don't feel like you got enough of the day that you wanted to do the thing you wanted to do, and therefore you're packing it all after your day that you were supposed to give to whatever other things you're obligated to. So if you keep doing that over time, it will cause sleep issues. Now, there is one thing as an adult that I realized in scaling through all this and going through doing that for years and years and years and years, because I did that to an extreme for like 10 years, where I quite literally would go to bed at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m, and I'd wake up at like 7 or 8. I got like 3 to 4 hours of sleep for like a decade, right? Now, how I changed my perspective on it, because my perspective was similar in the sense that I was like, man, I'm just like procrastinating, and I've messed up my sleep schedule, and I'm just like a slob because I'm staying up so late. Blah 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 blah. When I helped, what helped me was just realizing that I'm not staying up too late. I'm working a night shift. So the mentality change does help in that perspective, because there's plenty of people in the world that work night shifts, right? That work night shifts. They start work at midnight, and they get home at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's not weird for them to sleep in till 4, because that's the schedule they work. They work that's their sleep schedule because they work nights. So I started adopting being more okay with myself waking up at like 10 or 11 or noon, knowing that I worked 8 hours at night doing the thing that I'm working on. And I changed my mindset of like, oh, I'm just having fun and doing the thing that I wanted to do because it's, I wanted to animate or whatever. I started being like, well, hold on. If this is what I'm actually doing as a job, and I'm doing it late at night, and then I wake up and I'm like, God, like you should feel awful now because you slept until 11 or whatever, and you're sleeping your day away. Well, not really, because I kind of just worked a night shift. So if you're in a position where you start doing this at a bigger scale, or it's like a job or something like that, or you just want to be able to like be more mentally okay, because this might just be a part of how it is for you moving forward. You might always do this. Like I started where you were, and I was like, oh, I'm just like staying up late and I'm doing this thing. It's because it's like right now this thing I want to do. Well, I never stopped doing that. I just kept doing that endlessly. So I'm like, okay, I can't just be mad at myself now for doing this sleep revenge thing. How do I just incorporate it to who I am and what I'm doing? And that helped me be more okay with it later, And I'm more balanced now. My sleep is more okay because of it. Because I felt like, oh, the world wakes up at 7 or 8 a.m., so I need to do that. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm just doing something wrong. And so I would only give myself 3 hours to sleep, because that's when the rest of the world was waking up. If you have the opportunity to balance your sleep, I would suggest doing so, but know that it can be okay. You can live in a world where you get the things you want done late at night because the rest of the world is asleep, and you do want to get some of these other things done, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on that, honestly. I like that.
I paid for
good
it.
advice. I'm going to proceed to not listen to it.
Yes. It is easier to not listen to it.
That's cool. Don't care.
Yeah.
No, I'll try to. I don't know. I have that same issue where it's like I have not enough time in the day to do the things that I want to do.
Yes.
So I sacrifice my sleep so I can do the things I want to do. But I know it's going to affect me negatively down the line. I mean, it already kind of is due to insomnia, but that much I can't. I've already taken melatonin to go to sleep.
I was like about to say that like I'm not sacrificing my sleep for stuff I want to do. I'm sacrificing my sleep for stuff that I need to do. But then I realized like it's stuff that I want to do because I should be doing schoolwork in the day.
Right.
Not at night,
Either way. Yeah. You're cashing the check early or late. Either way.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because I was gonna say like I need to do the schoolwork. It's not something I want to do at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized it's the same thing.
Do you animate to improve or simply animate whatever interests you? Like, what are your goals as an animator?
I do both. I love animating stuff that like I'm interested in. So like that could range from like like stuff that like like media, like shows, anime, whatever. I like animating that stuff and just like stuff that I think is just fun. But in addition, yeah, I do want to improve, like as an artist and animator, because I feel like a big thing with being an animator is like you also get the experience of art itself. You just don't really realize it. Like I feel like I've gotten like way better at like art as a whole, because I've been animating for this long. So I'm really happy with that, and I hope to keep going with that. I hope to even just branch out from regular stick figures and just try new things. But yeah, I just do a mix of both pretty much.
Nice. Do you use a graphics tablet? Because you said earlier you used a mouse earlier on. When did you get a graphics tablet? Assuming you have one.
Yeah, I do use a tablet. The brand of the tablet, it's like a Hyun.
Hey.
I think H610 Pro V2. Yeah. It's a Hyun tablet. But I didn't initially start out with a tablet. Like I said this earlier, but yeah, I didn't start out with a tablet. I started using mouse. I thought it made my I didn't really enjoy it that much. It made it feel, I guess, weirder. I felt like I just needed to use a tablet even though I never had used one. but I always wanted to use it. But the thing is, I did not start using a tablet initially for animating. I started using it for Osu at first. I don't know if anyone in the chat has ever played Osu before, but you know, a tablet is like one of the most popular playstyles in the game, opposed to using a mouse. Mm-hmm. And I started using a mouse for that, for that as well. And I wanted to switch over to tablet. So I got my first tablet back in like 2019. And eventually, like, when I got back into animation and wanted to, like, start picking it up again, I figured, well, I already have a tablet, so let's try it again. And that was pretty much how I pretty much got back to the grind with my tablet. So ever since these past, like, what, 4.5 years, I've just been tablet only.
Interesting. Do you ever have a situation where you think it would be easier to animate with just mouse?
Mainly when using like the shape tool or just any like line tool. I mean,
object rotation type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I find myself switching over to my mouse. Like I have like my pen in my hand, but I'm using my mouse to like rotate anything or like like get the corners, use the distortion. Any of the distortion tools, get any of the corners of like a square, let's say, and just like warp it around. Get like that's pretty much mainly the times when I'd use a mouse. I don't really. It's funny enough because like I don't even like even when I'm using line tool like for stick figure construction, I still use my tablet. I want to give it that very like handmade like construction feel. Even then, I still don't use line tool that often when I construct my figures. I tried. I initially like used to do it. I used to do line tool, but I switched over to brush tool. Because I just love the brush tool way better. I feel like with line tool it's weird. It limits my movement in a way. Like it makes me like way more like I don't know how to explain it. But it's like an obvious like difference in my movement. It feels like more bulky to animate with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
One thing that's funny is that you mentioned about like getting the tablet and then you're realizing like, you know, you kind of like the mouse. I remember back when I got my tablet, like very few people had a tablet, but it was clear who had it. And there was this like mindset of like, when you get your tablet, you're going to have this monumental quality jump and you're just going to be so much better because the concept of like going from, I mean, back when we didn't even have laser mouses all the time. Like I had a roll wheel mouse. So it was really awful, right? And so I was like, oh, I'm going to get that tablet. I'm going to be just like, I'm just going to launch way ahead. And I remember getting it and the immediate fear that set in when I was like, I don't know if I like it. I think I'm worse. And I'm like, oh no, like this quantum jump that I was supposed to be awarded for getting this thing. There was like a 2-week period of like, I think I am worse. I think I got worse. Like I'm less comfortable. It feels weird. And eventually, in the long run, it definitely was the thing that made me or at least gave me the opportunity to improve a lot more. But dude, there was like 2 weeks of just fear because I worked all summer to be able to afford my tablet. I worked under the table full time all summer, made like $400, used all of it, and I bought a Wacom tablet online. Mm-hmm. And so it was every penny I had, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be like the best ever now, and it just. It was awful, but
that is really funny you mention that because that is like the exact same like mindset I was in when I was like, but like not so much for animation but for Osu because I thought I would be so much better at the game and once I got the tablet, but it just didn't happen. It took time. Like it's like the same thing with animation too. I remember when I first started drawing with the tablet, it was like so weird. I'm like. It's just like such like a different like it's so jarring when you switch from mouse to tablet.
It's very different.
It's like you have to pretty much like entirely reset. You start at level 1 again.
Yep. It's a different perspective. You have to rebuild completely new muscle memory.
Yeah.
All right, shall we jump into some questions?
Well, we got an animation to look at first, but if you guys have any questions right now, there's a little cool white bubble. If you're watching live, of course. If you're watching this after, then feel free to join live next time, and then maybe you can directly ask some questions live. But there's a bubble up there that I want to try out. That's apparently a YouTube feature. So if you press that button, and you can, there's a button that will say "Ask Something." You can ask a question there, and then we'll look through them and pick our favorites. So please feel free to look through there.
And if you're also watching this from the future and you didn't really understand what he meant at all by that, and you're still struggling to find the button, Please write that in the comments. I will laugh. That will make me laugh.
Yeah.
I will laugh too. I think I'll laugh a lot.
Help! I can't.
All right.
There's no button.
We're already
So
laughing
here-
right now.
We have an
There's no
animation by Hexal, and it has audio that we can play because I made the audio. So I know it's
Yes!
copyright safe.
Pop it
but
off.
here's,
You copyright strike the
Hexal's-
whole stream for it.
Imagine. No, but here is Hexal's attempt at my blade sound line.
Ooh.
Turn up the volume.
Yo, that is so tasty.
Yes, dude.
Oh,
That is
hell
so
yeah.
tasty.
I love Hexal stuff. You don't even know.
So smooth.
He like, it's so like his way of movement, it hugely inspires me. Like that's like, I am
that's
super inspired whenever I
serious.
see any of his stuff. Oh, that
Same.
too. I love the way he does his smears.
Oh,
They always
yeah.
look so like effortless. Oh, I especially watching him do those smears. It's always so crazy because he just
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
does them.
He
Like,
understands this stuff so naturally. He's so fast.
His grasp of all types of movement is so amazing. Like it's actually insane. I
It is.
look up to that type of like workflow.
Look at that!
It
Oh,
is.
look at that curve on that smear. It's so fun.
True.
Yeah, as a paid member of his Patreon, I entirely agree.
As an avid friend.
Just vocalizing
I
it
can
here.
agree.
I simp so much I pay.
I do. I pay for his FLAs just to make sure I can go frame by frame and dig
Oh,
through them.
that's sick.
Yeah, I love his work. He never misses.
Oh man! And if you guys are interested in working on this sound line, you can find that on my channel. Just look up Blade Soundline Challenge. Small little plug, but I mean, it doesn't really benefit me. The compilation's already out. If it's a fun practice you want to try out, then feel free to try it out. It's on YouTube, or I can leave it. I can
Cool.
find the link, and then we'll leave it in the description.
Cool.
A sink a day scares the Hatena away.
I love seeing people do my sound lines. It's so awesome to see people still like them enough to try.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at some questions. We got
Yes.
quite a few here. There's one that's clipping off at the top for us, but I thought was still pretty good, so I got it here. Solomon asks, as a young animator, what's some advice you would impart to someone on that boat?
Just go for it. Like literally, like don't even like. I just say like just 100% go for it because that was my biggest thing that I regret starting so young. Is like I didn't fully go for it because I thought I was too young. Like I feel like I'd be having so much more experiences. Like I'd have so much more experience today than if I like started like fully like if I did start consistently animating in 2016 when I first found out about the dojo. I feel like that would be an amazing, like even more of an amazing start for me. Because then by the time I joined the community, like that, that's another thing. I didn't really join the community until I was 13. Because like I've known about it. Like I initially joined the Discord server when like and like I I saw that you needed to be 13 and I was just kind of scared. I'm like, I don't want to get banned. So, I just did it. So, but just definitely do it 100%. Like, and just because like if you start now, you're like the sooner you start, the better. Because by the time like later on, I feel like you're gonna definitely be thanking yourself in the future by being like, damn, I'm so glad I started it then. Like, look how much time has passed since then. That's how I look at it right now. I'm like, damn, if I started like literally like a couple years ago, I would be so mad. But yeah, that's my advice. Just go for it.
But
Sorry, I'm getting some questions down on our
yeah,
document.
no worries.
Stone, you want to pick one?
yeah, I'll grab one. So this is from Nexled content. Question for Lunsar: what are your top 5 favorite collabs?
Top 5. Okay. Let me see.
How about 3? 5 is a
3?
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try and do 3. So
Give me top
I don't-
37. Go.
top 53.
Top 1,000 collabs.
Exactly. I mean, these aren't going to be in any order, but Imitator
Right.
collab is definitely one of them. It's
Yeah.
like I go back to watch that a lot. What else? I'm trying to think. You know, like Obstacle Course, that's a classic that got me like into the into the community. And Stuntman. I don't even mean to like be like
There you go.
like hyping like I don't mean like Stuntman's the best collab ever just because you're
No,
here, but like
it
genuinely is. It
It
genuinely
was
like
very
specifically
impactful
Stuntman
for a
3.
lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like specifically Stuntman 3. Especially
hell
just
yeah.
because like the whole animation, like the whole animation quality thing. I feel like that was during a time where I was way more comfortable, way more confident. But yeah, I'd say that's my lineup for like top 3.
All right. Space Donut asks why.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, why? I'd like to know.
Why?
Because
Awesome. No, actually, we had a good question from Steel Anim. Question for Lunsar. Does he have any creative hobbies outside of animation? And what sort of stuff does he feel like influences him the most outside of stick figure animation?
So creative hobbies, I mean, I feel like animation itself and art is like the main thing. I remember in school I got into like painting a little bit for my art class. I wasn't really a huge fan of that, but that's something I thought was kind of cool. But as far as hobbies go, like these aren't creative, but I play a couple sports. I play mainly volleyball, tennis. I like doing that. Video games, I play a lot of that. Specifically, Minecraft and everything like that. Other hobbies, those are pretty much my big go-tos. I cube sometimes, Rubik's cubes, very occasionally, every now and then. But
Easy segue. Nexelt Content asks, how many times have you solved the Rubik's Cube?
too many times to count. Next question. If you like, ever since like 2017, I don't know.
Gotcha.
Count
Oh,
the
this is, I don't think, did we not answer this? Crazy Master asks, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
So young.
17, senior in high school.
Wow.
Congratulations. Wow, yeah, wow, yeah.
Tafka Romney asks, Lunsar, when you started animating, how long would it take for you to make one, and how long does it take you to make one now? So, like, I guess...
When I started...
yeah. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah,
You got it.
it's okay. When I started animating, I feel like it varied. I feel like I was definitely slower when I first started. So I'd say maybe like a 5-second or 10-second animation would have taken me like a few days, maybe like a week to make. But nowadays, I feel like I can knock out if I really have the drive, I can knock out like a 10-second animation. No, like maybe even like 10-15-second animation all in a day. But that had to be like one long grind. But I could definitely do it though, because I've definitely gotten better when it comes to like speed and everything. Just animating. This is the byproduct of having all that experience. You hesitate way less.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Stone, you want to pick one?
Yeah. Let's see. What's your okay? Poboy Draws asks, "What was your parents' reaction to your animation hobby?"
Oh, that's a good one. They're supportive. They think it's cool. Like I remember when I first started doing it, or like getting when I first started taking it seriously back in 2020. I remember like my mom cause like my mom's computer is right next to mine. So I remember one day, like while I was working on that Fed demonstration that we showed a bit ago, she asked like what I was doing. I'm like, just like animating, and she's like, "Oh, can I see?" And I didn't really want to. I didn't really feel comfortable showing it because it was just a stick figure beating up and brutally slicing up other people. So, I'm like, I don't know, and. And so I played it, and she's like, "Oh, wow!"
Cool.
It's like it's like how parents like when they see like the macaroni art that their child made, and they're like, "This is really good."
Except the macaroni art's really violent, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we're just looking for warning signs." Okay.
Exactly.
Whoa!
And there's like a whole other aspect to that. Actually, wait, no. First, let me also mention, like, I remember there'd be some times where, like, I would just be chilling, like, in my room, like, about to fall asleep, and I'd just hear my mom on the phone, like, with some of my relatives, and just talking about, like, oh, yeah, he does this animation thing. You know, like, he does, like, he's been really getting into it. And stuff like that. And I'd literally just, like, I'd actually, like, stand up and go to my door and eavesdrop and try to see if she's talking about, like, saying anything, like, positive or negative about me.
Oh, that's so real. I used to
Yeah,
do
like,
that
I'm like,
too.
I would, like, literally get out of bed, put my ear to the door. I'm like, okay, what is she saying? Like, just talking to my grandpa. Let's see what she's saying. But then later, recently, when I got hired for the AB team, that was a
Soundline
completely...
Becker, yeah.
Yeah,
Just for everyone
that
else.
was... Yeah, for AB short for Alan Becker. That when they found out I got hired, I didn't tell them immediately, if I'm being honest. I put it off for a while because I hate, like, bringing up. I don't really. It's not that I don't like talking about animation with my parents or my family. It's just awkward. I don't know. It's just weird. I think it's just, like, something I just normally keep to myself. So when I had to bring it up, like, I had to bring it up because it was a paying job. So I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta figure out somehow how am I gonna talk about this? How am I gonna, like, start this conversation? So once it was official that I was on the team, you know, I'm like, that's when I first started getting into the headspace. And then I think, like, it was like a month after. Yeah, I really probably should have told them like the day of. But it was like a month or something after we were at the dinner table. My mom was always talking about, like, oh, you know, like, we can help look for a job for you because, you know, since I'm gonna be, like, getting my own car soon, I'm gonna have to start paying for insurance. I'm gonna need a job. So my mom was talking about, like, getting employed, and I'm like, well, you know, funny you mentioned that. I kind of already have a job. And then everyone at the dinner table, my mom, my dad, and my sister, they all just kind of looked at me. They're like, my mom was like, what are you talking about?
What?
And then that's
crazy.
when I was like, I'm like, okay, well, I have to go for it now. So I'm like, so I kind of got this animation job, per se. And so, and they're like, oh, who, like, what do you, like, who is it? And then I'm like, Alan Becker. It's Alan Becker Studios. It felt so weird saying that. Like, I keep my online life separate from my personal life as best as I can. So interlapping the two is always, like, weird. I don't know about you guys. It's very weird for me to, like,
Oh yeah,
cross those over. Like, especially with friends. Like, I hate it when people... Oh my gosh, this is completely off topic. I hate it when people, like, that I know, like, friends at school call me Lunsar. It's so annoying. It's so, like, and it's happened before. It's happened so many times. Like, I tell them, like, I'm not going to answer unless you call me by my name.
It was...
Yeah.
For me, it was so not on the radar because back when I was doing it, it was still during a time where, like, the average person wasn't on the internet at all. There was no social media. There was no, like... smartphones were only, like, just recently coming out, and so it's like the internet was not something that people connected on or talked about regularly in any capacity whatsoever. Like, you could have had I actually had a very successful YouTube channel at the time, and no one would have even known or cared at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very different period.
Yes.
I'm very happy because my parents, they were pretty supportive, you know, like, of course they told me, like, they're not going to complain about money income, you know, so, because, like, I've, like, it wasn't even, like, the first, like, job type, like, animation type job I've had before. Like, I've gotten, like, paid work before from like, someone else, and my mom found that out, and she's like, how the hell did you get paid, like, this amount of money? I'm like, oh, you know, I got like, paid to do, like, an animation. She's like, okay, I see you. And she's been low-key supportive, so I wasn't too nervous about telling them about it. But it was just weird because by then a couple paychecks went in, so then they asked me, like, how much money did you make? I'm like, oh, you know, I made this much. And they're like, what? They literally were like, what? Their jaw dropped, I swear. And so... that they were like, and you've just not been telling us this? I'm like, are you mad about it? And they're like, no, it's just like, how did you not tell us this? And I'm like, I don't know, I just don't really talk about it.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, my parents, I don't think they still like, even my sisters, I don't think they really understand what I do for a living anymore. I mean, like, it's when I switched to work as Alan Becker's production manager at the time, um, they had such a misunderstanding, like they didn't know what was going on, so they started telling my other members of our family that I was YouTube famous. It's like, no, that's not how this works.
You do have to translate it though. So that's how it was for me. Is like my parents forever were so lost to where they eventually just gave up trying to know anything that I was ever doing at all, and they would just say stick figures and you have to ask him, because they were like there was no translatable thing at all.
Yeah.
So they were so lost on it that my mom she had the opposite effect. When I started showing that I was making money doing it, she's like, "You need to go get a job. This is not a real thing. You can't, like, whatever it is that you're doing, just know that it cannot be something that is like has longevity. You need to go do something that is like tangible in the real world." And that's how I ended up getting a job. Was forced labor, because she was like, "There's no way, whatever you're doing, there's no way like stick figures moving on a screen from your brain and this money in your account is a real thing that will continue to be. So you have to like pull that out of your brain."
That's I just thought about it. Like, imagine they're just like, "Oh, what does he do? Stick figures? I don't even know. Go ask him."
That's it. That's what they would say. They would just say stick figures or something. We don't know.
Oh my god, that my family goes like, "Oh, he does like YouTube or something," and the other half the time they're like, "Oh, he does anime. It's anime."
Anime, oh my god,
incorrect.
Yeah,
I hate
so
that
wrong.
one so much.
Yeah,
because like to like our parents, like that just makes sense. Like anime is
they're
just short
trying
for
to draw
animation.
a line.
Exactly.
Like,
no,
that's exactly
it's not
exactly
right.
it.
It hurts.
They're using buzzwords.
Yeah. I don't think
YouTube anime.
I don't think my parents have ever like talked about my animation job before to anyone yet.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't even know.
Well, maybe they
might
might have
have
questions as well.
Maybe. Honestly, I'm fine with the latter. But
yeah.
But yeah, I'm honestly really thankful to have like such a positive reaction from my family, because honestly, I feel like the whole interaction that day was more funny than it was like awkward. Because immediately after, like, my sister was like, "So I've been paying for our food this entire time." And you,
yeah.
It's like, you could have been chipping in. When do I get that treatment, huh?
Because she thought like I had like no job, so she thought like, I had like no money. I had money, and she didn't ask, so I'm like, okay. I guess,
well, she had no
and
idea.
I felt kind of bad, so I'm like, okay, I'll send you like some money, like just a little bit, just to compensate.
We've been going on for a bit, so we're gonna do 2 more questions. Yeah. Stone, you can pick the one after mine, and then we'll call it.
Okay, I got it.
But to transition from that, TJB asks for Lunsar and or Hatena, how does working for Alan compare to your expectation of the job? And I'd like to hear your what your impression has been, since
Okay. I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's like I have to. I feel like when I first started out, for anyone who doesn't know, my first my first job assignment was the red speed run for the shorts section of Alan's channel.
Yeah, the vertical shorts, YouTube shorts.
Yeah, that was definitely a learning curve, because I feel like I was thrown in kind of the deep end. Probably not as deep end as you were when you started out.
Oh no, absolutely not. But I feel bad because I assigned that job to you, and I threw you into the deep end as well.
You knew exactly what I was going through.
Yeah. I felt bad after I realized.
It was definitely interesting because like I don't know, like because I animate straight ahead most of the time, so shifting over to the whole pose to pose aspect, especially on top of that, the whole puppet animation thing with all the Minecraft mobs and everything. It was definitely interesting. And then clocking in my hours and everything, that was another thing. But ever since then, I feel like that has got me prepared to tackle like any job I've gotten like in the future. So that was a really big learning experience. And I think I handled it really well, and I'm really thankful for like Natester especially. He really helped me out with that process. Gave me a lot of help, a lot of tips.
We gotta get him on an episode.
Yeah, honestly, get him on. But yeah, it was definitely, and I still do enjoy animating for the team. It definitely was like weird because like I was like so excited. I'm like, I'm working for the team. I'm working for the team. I'm working for the team. And then that feeling is like kind of like, okay, I gotta get some stuff done. And it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the feeling of excitement has died down, but it's still really cool that I'm able to do what I love, for pay.
Yeah. I had
awesome.
a similar but different reaction when I started. Because I pretty much had the position where Alan wanted me to be his boss, essentially. So, like, while I was excited, it's like, cool, I get to do YouTube for a living. But most of it was, I hope to God that I do this right and that I don't mess this up. But so for a while,
you're getting the boot.
Yeah.
For a while, I was like so anxious of even like telling him what to do because I'm like, this dude knows so much more than me.
Yeah.
He has so much more experience, and I'm like, I'm just trying to learn. And there was a couple meetings I had with him where he was like, all right, what's going on? How can we fix this? But he was really supportive, and it was a very collaborative learning experience. So it's been overall really pleasant to work with him. And nowadays, it's like, I know what I'm doing, and I know I'm damn good at what I'm doing. So it's very comfortable, and it's just so cool to be in that position.
I like kind of relate to that because when I first joined the team, I was like low key scared to like do the wrong thing. I'm like, if I do the wrong thing, they're gonna feel like newbie, and then just like throw tomatoes at me.
Yeah,
like but like I was like so totally. I was like so scared. I was like kind of scared to ask questions, and so I was just like counting on just being corrected on whenever I did something wrong, but even then I'd be embarrassed if I got corrected. So it was just kind of like a lose-lose situation. I'm like, I'm like gonna have to learn somehow. But it honestly was really chill because like even Ace said, like, you know, you could just ask him questions. Like I could just DM him and ask him whatever, and that was really helpful. So that was definitely something I had to get over. Just like the whole like confidence and like knowing what I'm doing. But I feel like nowadays now I more know of what I'm doing now. After being on the team for a little bit.
I think that's also an important lesson for anyone joining the animation or our industry is like if you're gonna get something wrong, especially if you're just joining and trying to learn their style, it's inevitable that you're going to have to spend some time learning. Like you're not going to be perfect instantly, and that's not a realistic expectation for you to have. And whoever's hiring you knows that. They know that you're not going to be able to instantly understand. Like, even if you're in this specific community and getting Alan's specific job, everyone does a different kind of stick figure animation. Everyone tackles stick animation very differently. So transitioning even to Alan Becker, even if you're well experienced in stick figure animation, is still fairly difficult. So no one in the industry expects you to understand it ASAP. So expect a lot of like revision notes, etc.
Yeah, that was definitely my biggest fear. It's just like the whole failure thing messing up. But it's to be expected. I put that in the back of my head. I'm like, I know I'm not gonna get this right first try, so just submit just I guess submit whatever you have. Show them that you're at least, because like the most like it's really asked of you is just to at least show that you're working on it, show that you're getting it done.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's when you find like the middle ground for like what the workers are thinking, and then what the actual leads are thinking. That's where you find that like creative middle ground.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the last question, and then we can wrap this up.
Yep.
Okay. Last one I have is from Tokarev. Tokarev asks, Tokarev, how did you develop your style? It's super floppy and flowy.
Oh, I guess I love your style.
Dude,
so fun.
it was, I don't know, like I feel like my style kind of came to me after watching people, like mainly from my inspirations, like Hexal, Kale, Turquoise, Jeweler Mud. Those are like my big four inspirations. For in terms of like, you know, just like kind of finding a style that I really wanted to go for. And especially nowadays, I feel like I've really like, I feel like your style is anything that you like prioritize or that you excel well in. So if it's something that you do well in, you'll do it more often, and you'll like, yeah, pretty much. So I really like doing like kind of bouncy, flowy type animations. I always really love that. So I can
see that.
Yeah, I kind of do that more. I like, especially with bounce. Oh my god, I love doing bounce animations like anytime. Like it's so fun. But yeah, that's mainly how I kind of got my style. I watch a lot of Hexal stuff, a lot of Kale stuff. Turquoise, I go back to like Shock 3. that's like something I go back to in terms of choreography
so
just to
good.
get motivation. Yeah, 100%. I love
so
Shock
good.
3. It's my favorite out of the entire Shock series.
Oh yeah, Shock is
And
fantastic.
and yeah, in terms of like flowy stuff like that, I feel like Jeweler is a big attributor to that. I really love his single frame style, his real like it's just cartoony movement. It's just really awesome to look at, really pleasing to the eye.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for episode 19. Lunsar, thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get we're not in like the greatest place. I don't know who booked this location.
Yeah.
But I mean,
No
we've literally been
actually.
we've literally been in worse places. So I mean, it's fine, you know. But as always, friends, don't forget to leave a comment on something you liked on today's episode, because we do read the comments. They help shape the show. And join us next week for episode 20 with Best Frog.
Oh yes.
So yeah, that's it, guys.
Woo! Good friend. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Okay, well, it was good talking to you, Lunsar. But yeah, I think everything's wrapped up. Right?
Yep, I think I'm ready to go. So.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll see you later, man.
All right, see you later, buddy.
Okay, peace.
Yo.
So you want to grab like
You got-
like
Yo!
new
You
place
can't-
down the street?
Hey, you can't just leave me here.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yo.
I'm hungry. So.
Hello?
Yeah, let's go. All right.
It's kind of cold here. Come back.